The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
There's a storm across the valley. The clouds are rolling in. The afternoon is heavy on your shoulders. There's a truck out on the 4-lane, a mile or more away. The whining of his wheels just makes it colder.
Welcome to Community Forum. Today is August 22nd, 2023. My name is Priscilla Almquist-Olsen, your host, and it gives me a great deal of pleasure to welcome 4 very interesting guests today involved in a wonderful, wonderful charitable organization which reaches into the pulls the heartstrings of all of us. And you're going to hear about where angels play and a lot more. So welcome to the founder, Bill Lavin from Connecticut, who drove all the way from New Jersey today to be here to give you his message. So listen up. And Rhonda Fleming, she is a volunteer with the group Where Angels Play. And then we have Larry Finn, who is a retired Lowell firefighter, another volunteer. And last but not least is Rich Allen from Randolph, who was a classmate of Rhonda's from Randolph. So we have a local connection here. And he is currently living in Fort Lauderdale, and he's a retired police officer, but a former special ed teacher. So that's a hint as to what the message is today from these 4 individuals. Bill, start us off. You're the founder. How did all that happen?
Well, I'm actually originally from New Jersey and across the river from New York City. And after 9/11, when we lost the 343 firefighters and so many angels that we would call them, but our brothers in particular that we lost on 9/11, we wanted to do something in honor of those beautiful lives. So we decided to, a couple years after that tragedy, we went down to Mississippi and New Orleans area and built playgrounds for the victims of Hurricane Katrina. And it was like a pay it forward because we had received cards and letters from a elementary school to cheer us up for the loss that we had experienced and to get us through the worst moment in the history of fire service. So we went down and we tried to lift up that community by building playgrounds. And it was, to date, that was one of the most rewarding experiences. The community embraced us. You had the Southern culture embracing the North, and we had some real laughs and came home with tremendous memories. Now, fast forward 7 years later, Hurricane Sandy hits the New Jersey shore. And quite frankly, we were all from New Jersey feeling sorry for ourselves. We had lost cars and material items, and our homes were destroyed. And we felt, geez, what a terrible life this is, until the tragedy of Sandy Hook Elementary School happened. And we realized that, in fact, we probably had no problems. And we were devastated, and we thought, what could we possibly do to make a difference? And we talked earlier before we went on, my mother had a quote. I'm one of 11 children, and she raised me to know that if I threw my problems into a pile with everyone else's, I would fight to get mine back. So we knew we had to do something. It was then that Where Angels Play, the actual name was created. We reached out to the moms and dads of Sandy Hook. They loved the idea to honor this and celebrate how they live, these children, these 20 beautiful children, 6 educators that were killed in December of 2012. And that's where it started. And we started to go from town to town and celebrate those angels. And in a very real way, the spirit of those children lifted up communities in places where they had floods, and it was kind of a mutually beneficial thing. And here we are today.
Now, your background, being a firefighter yourself, but also president of the Firefighters Benevolent Association, where you were politically active, and that must have played a big role in your pursuit of this dream to create this organization where angels play.
Yeah, well, I think firefighters and police officers, first responders, nurses, these are the type of people that make up what we call our Angels Army. And, you try to make a difference in that way. I was involved in negotiating contracts, protecting pensions, health benefits. And it was at a time where we were at odds with the politicians. And, I'm in the trenches and arguing, and I kind of lost sight of what was really important. We're in a state of our country where everybody's divided. And I think this allows us to be part of something bigger than ourselves and be involved in something that is really meaningful. And I remember thinking, here I'm worried about pensions and benefits and my salary and other salaries, and these little kids were being, slaughtered. And that was a real wake-up call. Like, hey, you want to know a problem? This is a problem. What I had was a mere inconvenience, and we met these amazing people and folks from all over the country who come together, and I'm always amazed that they dedicate and sacrifice and put themselves out. And if I told them, we were going to be building in South Dakota or in Haiti or Puerto Rico or Africa, they sign up and they come, and it's incredible. I get to tell the story, and as you can tell, I'm talking, but these are the folks you really need to speak to, because I stand on their shoulders. They're amazing human beings.
Well, let's meet some of these volunteers. Rhonda, we'll start with you. You're a Randolph native, and I think you had Ed Hands as a teacher?
Never had him as a teacher, but I knew him from Randolph High School.
Okay, so tell me, how did you get involved?
Actually, the way I became involved was through Rich Allen, and he contacted me about becoming involved with DJ Simmons' family. DJ Simmons was the police officer that died as a result of his injuries from the marathon bombing. And he was a Randolph resident. I didn't know him or his family, but Rich, as a police officer, wanted to do something to help. And together we worked to get the gymnasium in Randolph named for DJ. And we had a wonderful celebration when the gymnasium came to be, the naming. And at that event, Bill Lavin happened to be there, and he was talking to the family about building one of the playgrounds for DJ Simmons. And so even though that dedication took place in 2017, Where Angels Play built the playground for DJ in Randolph at Belcher Park in 2021, in May of 2021. And that was my first playground.
And where do you get the funds to construct these playgrounds, Bill?
Well, most of it is grassroots. So we would go to a local, let's say we were going to build in Lowell or in any of these local towns. Typically, we would go to the fire service, or the firefighters would put together a 5K race or a golf outing. The police officers, the members, always so generous. And it's grassroots, selling T-shirts. But we also have some great corporate sponsors. Recently, Home Depot, and the one that's really been coming up really strong for us lately is Jersey Mike's, especially in the New England area. They are not just this foundation, but so many others. And not to do a commercial for them, but I need to say that they have supported us to such a degree that allows us to continue to do so many other things. So it's the money. I think what the local towns and the bean counters like is that it costs no taxpayer dollars. These are all funded, and usually through social media, and we'll put things out. But you're helping us today. I'm sure people that are watching this will say, how do we get involved? Maybe how do I help? And through every little bit helping, these are some of the most generous folks who personally sacrifice, write checks for us, and
I'm sure that
it's great.
The different groups like the Lions or Rotarians and other groups also pitch in.
The civic associations are so important. Lions,
Yeah.
Rotary, Kiwanis, Knights
Yeah.
of Columbus, so many of those groups.
Yeah.
I'll go and do a quick pitch to them, and the next thing I know, they're not only helping us, but probably writing us a check.
Yeah.
Policemen's
And I'm
Benevolent Association.
I'm sure that our 3 volunteers here do their part too.
No
to
question.
do the pitches
No question.
to the people they know. So, Larry, are you one of those big pitchers?
Well, I'm a Lowell, Massachusetts resident. I'm one of 13 children.
My
And,
God, 11 and 13.
Yeah. I got involved through a Boston firefighter named Joe Minahan. He said to me, hey, they're going to be doing a playground in Wilmington, Massachusetts for Sean Collier. So I went to that one, and then out to
And who is Sean?
Sean Collier got killed by the marathon bomber.
Oh, yes.
Police
Okay.
officer.
MIT.
Yes,
MIT.
yes.
It's the MIT
Um,
course.
Right.
So meeting Bill was, I don't know, somehow you just connect with people, and I felt the connection with Bill and where Angels play, and went to Pennsylvania and built a playground, and he even asked me to go to Africa to build a playground. I went home and told my wife, she said, you can go. I said, no, there's lions in Africa. No, it's just too far. If Africa was 50 miles away, I'd go, but so I've helped build about 9 or 10 playgrounds, and I have an 11-year-old daughter who says I can build as many as I want. So the plan is to ride on Bill's coattails for as long as I can. And I have a brother who just passed, Down syndrome, 53 years old, lived at home his whole life. So I'm really looking forward to them having a camp to honor my brother.
Yes, we're gonna talk about that. So, how many years have you been doing this, Larry?
Since Sean Collier, so
Oh, my.
6, 7 years.
6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
You mentioned how we raise the money. A perfect example is, Larry mentioned his daughter, Adelia, and her friend put together a lemonade stand, and I raised a ridiculous amount of money, just these 2 little kids, and so they're learning through Larry's example about giving and sacrifice, and they're on our team, and they're
Sure, and they're
how
gonna
old are
be
they?
part of the next
11.
generation.
11 years old. So
Yeah.
there's so much good that comes from it. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
And Rich, how about you? How did you get involved?
I left Massachusetts when I was 21 years old and became a police officer down in South Florida. The first year I became a police officer, my partner, who I went to the police academy with, was shot and killed tragically. And for some 15, 20 years, I was trying to get a building named after her in her honor. And through various political issues, it just never came to fruition. So I was watching TV during the Boston bombing incident, which we were all mesmerized by watching that. And I heard about Sean Collier. And later on, I heard about this officer, Sergeant D.J. Simmons. He was a local kid from the South Shore area here, from Randolph. And
Your hometown.
my hometown. And he was captain of the basketball team. I was captain of the basketball team. He lived about 3 blocks away from where I grew up. Didn't know the family at all. But I said to myself, he deserves some recognition. So through Rhonda, we started a foundation, and had a whole bunch of politicians at this particular get together. And Bill comes over and sees me and says, hey, I'm Bill Lavin. I'm from Where Angels Play, and we'd like to build a playground in DJ's honor. And I said, number one, the Jersey accent wasn't working on me at all, right? But
I have an accent? I thought you guys had the accent.
Yeah, you're right. So Bill's, I said, yeah, all right, sure. And but anyway, we stayed in touch, and I got involved in and I've been involved ever since with probably 90% of the builds. And I just want to say one thing here: as much as it appears that we give back to the community, we get so much more back from them, the local communities, the people, the kids, and I mean, I'm tearing up here, but it's just. The feeling that you get when you help these poor unfortunate, you realize how lucky you are and all. So that's why I'm an angel for life, and I'm sure these guys are as well.
Same here, most definitely.
Well, to that point, we call it, and here we're on this. It's not because we're trying to take credit for anything. This is the most selfish project we've ever been involved, because Richie says we do get so much, we take away so much more than we give, and the family thanks us. We don't know why they're thanking us, because we get to meet them and see the grace and strength. And here's a guy that comes from Florida. He usually flies into New Jersey or wherever we're working at the time, and he typically will get the award for coming from the furthest away. But you got guys who will spend their own money on flights, and nobody gets paid, except they get paid in the biggest way. So
I think
it's a blessing.
It is a blessing, and I think it's always a blessing when you do something for somebody else, because, as you say, the return in feeling good and that you have a purpose. If we don't have a purpose in life, part of us dies. And it's been shown, even scientifically, that people with a purpose, and a purpose that involves giving and helping, live longer. So in one way, your longevity is related to how you live your life, and we're talking about giving back and so forth. So we're going to have information at the end of this program on how the viewers can get involved, and those of you who use your computer, you go online at eastoncat, that's one word, .org, and you can see any of our programs at any time at your convenience. And also YouTube carries all of our programs. So we're going to get the message out. We're going to have information on how you can donate or how you can become an angel and participate and build these playgrounds and join the Angel Army, because that's what it's become. How many people do you estimate are involved now?
Well, it's in the hundreds. Not everybody can make every build, and so they're interchangeable.
Sure.
We have, the skill set. I'm always amazed. You got firefighters and police officers, and you want to see Rhonda with a screw gun in her hand, and Larry, knows how to use just about every piece of equipment, and it's incredible. And they can build just about anything. If I could say one thing about how this evolved is. And throw a shout out is we're amazed by the families, the moms and dads. So this is building a playground is never going to take away the pain and the tragic loss of a young child, like the Sandy Hook parents and many of the others that we talk about. But we've watched them try to heal through having this playground, and we've been able to watch the grace with which they refuse to have their angel forgotten. So we've been to places like South Dakota and on an Indian reservation, or to Africa, or to Canada, and we would carry with them their shirts, and we'd be able to share their stories. So to have children who otherwise would not have a T-shirt have the shirt of, say, Chase Kowalski or Jessica Ricos or one of the angels from Sandy Hook to and their story gets to get all the way 8,000 miles away to Africa. In a real way, those children are the ones changing the world. Those angels are inspiring us and trying to make a triumph over some real tragic circumstances.
So you also extend that to other people who've been the victims of gun violence. Is that correct?
Well, it was born out of that, and the term of looking for them. This has been really an organic and spontaneous thing. We never approach a family, typically folks who've had a loss, and sometimes it's a car accident, sometimes it's cancer or disease, but many of the times it is gun violence. And we focus on how these children lived, but usually the family or somebody close to the family will reach out to us and say, geez, I think this child, we could celebrate his life, and there's a special nature, and we never say no. We figure out as soon as we go as fast as our funding allows us. If we can raise the money, we build the playground, and we have the sad part of it is there's no shortage of tragedies.
So you mentioned Home Depot before, and does Home Depot supply a lot of the playground equipment?
Well, not the playground equipment, but the materials to build it.
Okay.
We have I should have mentioned Old Castle, who supplies the cement to Home Depot, and all the cement is donated pretty much. But Home Depot supplies us with the plywood, the screws, the hardware, some of the tools that we need to do that. And they're very local focused. So typically we would go to a local Home Depot if we're building it in Wilmington, and the closest Home Depot will come and give us a grant for X amount of dollars, bring their home team out and help us. So I feel like I'm dominating the conversation. These are the guys that should be talking.
Well, I was just about to ask Rhonda.
Yeah.
So Rhonda, as you look back, what has been the most profound experience that you can recall in this journey as being an angel?
Every playground is different, but they all have the connection with the families. This last one we did in Colony, New York, it was at a school. And one of the most moving things for me was the students came out and they had made cards for us, thanking us for coming there. And this playground was for a young girl who died from cancer. And they wanted to remember their classmate. And they came out and they sang songs for us.
Yeah. They had us all crying.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, another event was when we were in South Dakota building on this Indian reservation in the poorest part of the entire United States. And it was 110 degrees. It was in September. And kids came out to watch us build. And they put pictures on the fence. And it was so hot at one point, and I thought I was going to collapse, actually. And I looked up and these kids were just sitting and watching. And it was like, they live here. They are so excited about this playground that there's no way I could just stop right now. And you just, trudge it along. It was an amazing experience. That one was wonderful.
Yeah.
And it's just the feeling that you get when you see, these families. You're giving them a little hope, a little, something wonderful to make their, to help their lives, to help their healing.
and as to honor and remember their loved one.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, because most
Exactly.
people only remembered on gravestones.
Yeah.
So this is a living remembrance.
Right.
That playground that Rhonda mentions was built on the 20th anniversary of 9/11.
Yeah.
And specifically, we chose that date as a way to pay it forward from our angels. And it was built close to Wounded Knee, for those who are historians and know
We
the massacre
remember.
that happened at Wounded Knee.
Yeah.
So it was a way for us to promise something, and actually to have the white man deliver to the Native Americans was really a special thing for us.
Absolutely. Larry, what about you? What memory do you have that stands out as particularly moving?
The one in South Dakota for sure. And then Colony was pretty special because the Thursday night when we were leaving, we went to a restaurant. And as we're trying to get in our cars, the father of the little girl, Charlie, he's hugging us and telling us he'll see us at the next build. And so you make these connections with people you don't know. And I feel that you take a little bit of their pain and wash it away. It's never going to go away completely, but if you can take some of it, it helps.
And you obviously have suffered yourself with the passing of your brother.
Yeah, but I had a great life with him.
Yeah.
He lived at home his whole life. He almost made 53 years. He beat leukemia. He was in remission from leukemia since 1993. He smiled every day. So I don't have any problems.
No, that's wonderful. And a Down syndrome child can be quite a blessing.
Yeah. When he was born, my dad sat us all down. My brother Mark is third from the bottom. And he said to us, Mark's going to go everywhere we go. If he's not accepted, because we're in their 70s, we leave as a family and we don't go back. It never happened. Everywhere you went with Mark, the next time you saw that person, they didn't really even say hello. They'd say, "Where's Mark?" Because he lit up a room.
Yeah,
So,
sure. But what a great example that gave you.
Yeah.
So your parents and your life as a kid growing up
I had the best life. in the
gave
world.
you, the proper attitude to welcome this organization, didn't it? And Rich, tell us about one of your experiences that you found
Well,
particularly.
there's been so many great people that I've met over the number of bills. I mean, it's hard to narrow down one, but this is just a little bit different. This was also that happened at the Lakota Sioux Reservation. I met an older gentleman who had lived on the reservation all his life. His name was Danny Thundercloud, and kind of a neat name, you know. And to show you how less we know, at least I knew about the indigenous people, he was a police officer on the reservation there, which is a challenge in and of itself. But when 9/11 happened, he got in one of his police cars and got the okay from the tribe and drove to 9/11 and spent 30 days on site with the rest of the firefighters and police officers helping out. No pay, nothing. And so when I was talking about what happened, he was telling me, you know, certain aspects of what happened there. And he says, as a result of it, he got an airway disease, like a lot of the firefighters did that were helping out that scene. So to me, it was just like, you know, here's the poorest reservation in the United States, and this guy has such love for his country, gets in his police car the day after 9/11, drives there, and it just astounded me. But you know, there's 10,000 other stories like that with the builds that we do. But that, for some reason, resonated with me. Maybe because he was a police officer, but the 9/11 thing, and just a bunch of beautiful people we've all met.
Yeah, for sure.
And so this beautiful picture is going to continue with, instead of Angels Play, it's going to be Angels Camp. So Bill, tell us about that. I mean, just before we went on air, he's on the phone negotiating the purchase of this camp of 1,000 acres in Maryland. Tell us about it, and you're transforming, or no, you're transitioning, because it's the same sort of goal, but it's going to be a camp. So
Yeah.
tell us about it.
Well, really, the name Where Angels Play was born out of where heroes come to play, and that's a burn camp that I'm involved with. A lot of firefighters are involved with the Connecticut Burn Care camp, where you burn survivors, young kids who are really horrifically burned, and in society are stared at or looked at, and when they go to camp, they get to be just kids, and they're all in the same boat, so to speak, and there's no judgment. So it's very special. We've been trying, so for 20 years, we've been, they are our inspiration, these angels on earth. And so we've been wanting to get a permanent home. And we were renting and leasing from the Boy Scout camp in Connecticut, and that got sold out from under us, and we were disappointed. We had another opportunity to get a camp, and it was perfect, and I kept saying, why can't we get it? Well, I got my answer actually this week. We are partnering with, as Larry said, with a gentleman from a Jersey Mike's franchisee owner, Danny Malamis, and he has a Down syndrome child and wanted to have a camp for different developmentally disabled folks or differently abled folks, because in some ways these children are far better able in some things than do better than I could ever do. But we want to have it for burn survivors, for cancer survivors, for police and fire, for the families of Where Angels Play, families that lost children, and a place where we could all go and they could enjoy the outdoors. We could teach them all survival skills and nature and farming and so many other things. So that's going to be in Old Town, Maryland, and we're excited about it. It's probably, a lot of construction, a lot of things have to be put together, but we are thrilled to go from not only Where Angels Live, Work, and Play, but now to Where Angels Camp. And hopefully long after we're not here physically, it will be enjoyed for generations. We're very excited about that.
And speaking of that, we were talking earlier about how important it is for young people to get involved, because you need to build. I mean, we're all getting older, and some people, not us, of course, more physically challenged. So tell us what you're doing to recruit other people. Now, Larry, your 11-year-old her lemonade stand, and she's already an adopted angel, and she will
she's something
continue.
else.
She'll continue to be an angel, and so and maybe some of her friends, right?
Yes, and her best friend is Marin Kay, who's a little person. But you are not going to stop that girl. She's going to do anything and everything she wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
She keeps right up with everybody else. She doesn't know that she's a little person.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a heart bigger than herself.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So part of what we're hoping will come from this interview today is people getting interested to take a chance, take a risk. Maybe you've never hammered a nail in your life, but there's always something you could do to build a playground. If that's not your cup of tea, then maybe it's donating, or maybe it's fundraising, or doing some information on Facebook, on your Facebook page. I mean, there are a lot of things that we could do in order to celebrate this group and to keep it moving on. So,
Priscilla,
Rhonda.
I never thought that I could build a playground. 5 years ago, if you asked me, what would you be doing in the future? I mean, sometimes I need help in changing a light bulb. And building a playground, and what I tell some of the people, because we do get some volunteers that come, and I did bring some pictures, and we help to now show them how to help what they can do. And I tell them it's like a puzzle. Every part of the playground is a piece, and each part is equally as important. You might not think that shoveling mulch is important, but it is. The mulch has to be a certain height. Every screw that you put in. So if I can do it, anybody can do it, seriously. And I've done just about every part. And
Every job, every task to build the playground.
Exactly.
So, Bill, do you have a target date for the camp?
Well, I think it's going to be part of where Angels, the Angels Play Foundation, almost within days. As far as a fully functioning camp, it's at least a year away. We have to build some infrastructure and some lodges and some sleeping areas. So, we're hoping. I do want to say, you mentioned the Angels, and I want to say we're certainly not angels, but they call themselves the Angels Army. And as my wife will tell you, if I want to be an angel or go to heaven, I better keep building playgrounds. But we joke, we get, we're not the greatest guys in the world or the greatest girls in the world. We're simply trying to, we really feed off of one another. It's an incredible group. So.
To those people listening at home and viewing this, I don't think any of you will agree with Bill that they aren't angels.
Oh, trust me. Yeah.
So any last comments from Rhonda?
Well, I know Bill talked about Sandy Hook, but we just completed the 63rd playground, and the 64th is coming up in the beginning of September in New Jersey. So they've moved pretty far from the original playgrounds.
Yeah, we thought we would finish the 26 for those beautiful souls that we lost from Sandy Hook Elementary School, but and it really was their parents who wanted to continue, and sometimes while they love the playground that they had built for their child, they love the experience of passing on and helping those families who have lost children. I have been blessed and haven't had that experience and never want to have that experience, but they in a special way can counsel and uplift the other families who haven't experienced a certain thing. And if Priscilla, this is locally to this area, but we mentioned DJ Simmons and Sean Collier, who are very local to this area. And there's two things that I want to mention about those two families. Kelly Rogers, Sean Collier's mom, she told me a story about the playground, and MIT had also built a monument, by the way. I think they spent millions of dollars on it, and it's beautiful, and it's done with the engineering and the skill that I couldn't even dream of. But Kelly said she feels Sean on the playground, and it costs nowhere close to $1 million. And the neighborhood children who play on it would play, and they created their own game called Sean Collier's Super Cop. And so each time they would take turns who could be Sean the Super Cop, and she actually had the mom of those children had to put it on their calendar, and she said, "Where can I go for that? Please tell your volunteers."
I don't know about you guys, but does Bill draw the tears? Did they start well enough?
yeah.
Because I'm sitting here.
Yeah. Well,
They're good tears, though.
I get to
Good
tell the
tears.
stories, and here's DJ's story. So that's where I met Richie and Rhonda and the beautiful Simon's family, and Roxanne and Nicole, and on, and Ollie and Blossom. Those are the grandparents. But we built that playground in Randolph, and we built it during COVID. And we built it when this country was most divided. And DJ is a black police officer. And it was Black Lives Matter and Blue Lives Matter and all lives matter, and the country is at war with one another. And we were able to bring this community together. And we had police officers come from Boston, female, males, Hispanic, Asian, black, white. And I just think if they could see what the Angels were able, and what DJ was able to bring together during the most divided time in our country, it was a lesson to us. And I just felt like, wow, just to be a part of that and witness what goes on, and that hero DJ. And I know in some circles, people feel that he may not be getting the recognition that he deserves. But I could tell you, man, he brought us together, and that's what we need to do. It's a way for people to put away the newsreels and get out and do something positive and stop.
And to heal.
And to heal.
But also to celebrate
Yes.
the life.
Yes.
And to keep that person in everyone's memory
Exactly.
because of the sacrifice.
Yeah.
And, we celebrate Veterans Day and the sacrifices that people in the service have given, not just in wars, but also in times of peace. So it's important to celebrate and remember those who have sacrificed here in peaceful times and at peaceful celebrations. I mean, that was a terrible thing. The marathon has been going on for so many years, and who would have expected that it would be a scene of tragedy?
Yeah.
Right.
But you have taken that tragedy and made it into a celebratory moment and a moment of remembrance. So
we learned that from the moms and dads. They told us, especially the Sandy Hook moms and dads, they were tired of the wrangling over all the politics that goes on with gun control and the legislation and where the school is going to be built and how to go forward. And they wanted their children to be not necessarily be remembered for how they left this world, but what they did while they were here, and to celebrate their favorite color, their favorite cartoon, their favorite sport. And so that's we learn from them,
and it's a continuing learning experience, isn't it?
It certainly is, and none of us are getting out alive. We know we're here temporarily, so. And you don't have to believe in angels, we say, because there's plenty of us who believe for the rest of you. So,
Yes.
Right?
So thank you all so much for coming and sharing this wonderful story.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Uplifting.
Yes.
And we hope that those of you who are listening today will take from this all of the goodness and the spirit of generosity here, and remembrance and the celebration of lives lived and lost, and do your part. Please stay tuned and look at the information, and hopefully you will join the Angel Army in any way that you can, whether it's by donating, supporting and promoting it on Facebook and social media, or taking up a hammer and going to who knows where. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks for
Thank you
having
very
us.
much, Priscilla.
And thank you for watching. Priscilla Almquist-Olsen, wishing you all the very best. Until next time, be well.
There's a storm across the valley. The clouds are rolling in. afternoon.